Welcome in to Greenville Grit, Greenville residents in touch on 103.7 WTIB. This is the local show that keeps you connected and in touch with the issues that affect what's happening in your community. Greenville Grit is sponsored by Ribeyes, Kid Construction, and Greenville Toyota. Now, here are your hosts for Greenville Grit, Terry Williams and Michael Overton.
Hello and welcome to Greenville Grit. I am Terry Williams.
And I'm Michael Overton. And Terry, we got a great guest on tonight. We have McLean Godley with City Council District 3 new representative. McLean, thank you for coming on the show.
Well, it's exciting to be here, guys.
And congratulations on the recent win. Look forward to seeing what you can do for our city over the next couple of years.
Well, it's an exciting time of year. It really is. I'm ready to get down to business. The campaign season is over. The honeymoon's over. It's time to get some work done.
That's right. Well, we're going to thank the sponsors before we get into discussing with McLean. So thank you for the Greenville Toyota. If you're looking for a new Toyota or Scion or a new used car, go see Craig Gois and the Greenville Toyota team. You can catch them on the web at greenvilletoyota.com, across from Fresh Market in Greenville, or dial them up at 321-3000. Have the Overton Group real estate professionals serving all of Eastern North Carolina in commercial real estate leasing, sales, business brokerage, property management, and residential brokerage. You can give us a call at 252-355-7006 or on the web at overtongroup.net. Also, Ribeyes Steakhouse. It's the time of year for Christmas parties. If you're looking for a great place to eat, hang out, have your Christmas party, check them out in the Angus Room at Ribeyes, and just a great atmosphere overall.
Great salad bar.
Absolutely. They're located on the corner of Fire Tower in Arlington and Greenville, as well as in Williamston. We're going to take our commercial break. We'll be back in a couple minutes to start talking with McLean Godley. Welcome back to the Greenville Grit. I am Michael Overton, along with my co-host Terry Williams. Terry, we have McLean Godley on, new city council member for District 3. McLean, again, congratulations on a very hard-fought city council race.
Yes.
You did a great job.
You really did.
Well, thank you, Michael. It's like I was saying before, it's exciting time of year, but really it's time for all of our council to start working together, start putting together good pieces of legislation that's going to transform our town and get to work.
That's right.
Well, let's talk about some of the things. I guess let's start back. We had the opportunity to talk with you before while you were running, but maybe give people kind of the introduction to who McLean is and what your goals and ideals are for not just your district, really the city.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my name is McLean Godley. I did just recently get elected to city council for the city of Greenville in District 3. If you're unfamiliar with, how the districts are divided up, it's definitely not a cookie cutter city when it comes to our districts. But, the District 3, includes ECU. It includes the University neighborhood, parts of 10th Street, and headed out towards the new Walmart headed eastbound. Right. So it's a good amount of people. It's exciting. I want to thank everyone who supported me this fall. I couldn't have done it without the voters, obviously, but also my team too. This election was more than just me. It was a lot of people donating their time, their efforts, their resources, and buying into a message. So I want to thank them first and foremost. But I am originally from Greensboro, North Carolina. I sell insurance here in town for AAA Carolina's Insurance. I have my license in property and casualty insurance. So if you need any, don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Plug.
But absolutely, just really feel strongly, about what this city has to offer and ready to start showcasing its potential.
That's great.
Well, let's talk maybe, McLean, some of the ideas we talked before we came on, things that are going on. Really, maybe start specifically in your district. You've got one of the biggest pieces of real estate, one of the most prized possessions of real estate in our city in your district with the with the town commons. So any thoughts on that? Any ideas of what we can finally get done? That people, I feel like, Terry, try to scare people saying they want to sell off and develop the entire town commons.
Which isn't true.
I think that's probably the small group that wants absolutely no change at all. How do we take that beautiful piece of land on the river, which is another prized possession for Greenville? We have a riverfront that is severely underutilized. How do we utilize that to make it attractive, not just for your district, but for the city as a whole?
Well, actually, what's really interesting is that Town Common isn't in my district. Everyone knows
in
is probably
Candies.
everyone
But
is
he'll still have
probably
a lot to do
familiar
with
with
it.
the Greenville Bridge. One side of the Greenville Bridge is in my district. The other
Right.
side of the Greenville Bridge, which leads
Well,
into
then you
Town
don't have to
Common.
talk about it.
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
No,
I would
I'm
love
just
to- love
kidding.
your
But
opinion.
it's
But
actually
it connects
but
to it.
But it is very
That's
close.
right.
You're absolutely right. It's very close, and a lot of folks in my district, interact with Town Common all the time. And Town Common has a lot of potential. It truly does. And for too long, we have underutilized that potential, and that goes with our Tar River. And it starts with us and our city council starting to showcase the promise of our city. And our Town Common is beautiful. It's fantastic. It has all the potential in the world. And we may need to look back at that master plan that was developed, 7, 8 years ago, whenever it was, and say, hey, which parts of this, would still be a good fit today? Which parts of it may not be a good
Right.
fit today? But the one idea that I do think would be a really interesting idea to go ahead and, pursue after we look at that master plan is something that I think a lot of people can get around, is simply a permanent bathroom structure. You have everyone you have tons of people who go throughout the summertime to our concerts down at Town Hall. And, but I think people are tired of using a porta-john when they go
Yeah.
out there and they enjoy a nice Sunday afternoon, Sunday in the park. So I think that's something that really we can do right off the bat, or I would like to see happen, is just because when you go out there and you're enjoying a nice Sunday, you don't want to have to continue to deal with the smelly toilet. I know it's
Right.
something, it's not the most sexy
No.
project out there, but it's the little things that make the
Right.
biggest difference. And I think that's something we need to look into, but also revisiting that master plan and kind of seeing what would still be a good fit, getting public input into, hey, we still like XYZ and we'd still like to have it happen, or maybe XYZ wouldn't be a good fit today. So I think it's just going back and revisiting so that we can start showcasing our promise.
I think one of the main reasons nothing's been done is finances. It is very expensive. Even that first plan, the total price was
Remember,
about
we picked on what it cost
$13
for park benches and trash
million
cans.
to even get park, and it did include some buildings. But I think you're absolutely right. It is going to have to be revisited, and it probably will have to involve some private dollars in order to get certain things done. But and I'm sure that they'll come to some compromise about what needs to be done there. But it definitely needs to be. It's a very important piece of the puzzle, and we know some other things that have already been announced this week that you might want to talk about that are going to be happening in the Uptown area that will have a definite impact, which would be the hotel that they talked about. So maybe you want to elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, I was really excited to read the Reflectors article this past week, earlier, I think it was yesterday, or the day before that, where they talked about how a new hotel is going to be potentially developed right around 4th and Reed Street, which is, if you're familiar with the Uptown area, it's right behind the Sub Dogs restaurant, actually beside also the new parking complex, parking deck complex. So that'll be truly exciting because you have a lot of folks who come to town on game days, come to town on homecoming weekend, and they love Uptown. They're maybe 5, 10, 20 years removed from graduating from school, and what brings back memories to them is the time they spent with their friends in the Uptown district, and now they'll be able to stay there, which is truly exciting. You won't, we've got a lot of great other hotels around town too, but I think an addition to a hotel in the Uptown district will truly be exciting amenity and a really good piece of quality of life that everyone will be able to enjoy. For our citizens and our fellow graduates.
That's right. Well, with that, they mentioned a new alumni center.
That's
And would
gonna
that be
part of
in the hotel?
Yes, that would
Actually
be
in it.
part of it. Yep.
Okay, so that
East Carolina University will be occupying a portion of it.
which to me will mean that it will probably be used a whole lot more than just during game season, which is what we want for it to be used.
Well, it's part of the
more.
alumni center.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's a great
Well,
thing.
that's
and-
how it's going to be an expensive project. I mean, to do a hotel, to have they usually use a model that says you have to have a certain number of rooms really for the math to work. So in a case like this, having the alumni center there and its location, I'm sure the math even now is still tight, but having ECU located there was an absolute key part of that puzzle.
So will that older home there remain?
Yes, I believe the old house will.
Yes,
I think there is one of the older office
the John
buildings that's going to
Hodges
be
home
coming
or
down.
something like that. I can't
I'm
remember the
not
name
sure.
of it, but it's gorgeous.
It is very, it's a
So-
very attractive piece of historic preservation.
Yeah, so I think that
And
would be
you
important.
still
Yes.
are, or were chairman of the Historic Commission.
Unfortunately, with winning, I don't know if unfortunately is the right word, but I guess regrettably, I would have to
Right.
step down. But I do know when I had to step down from historic preservation. But what I do know is there's some really great commissioners on that commission, and
Right.
they'll be definitely able to continue to do great work for the city of Greenville.
Okay, well, a recent
great.
announcement in the paper this week, and Terry and I gave some criticism in the last several months over it.
I was really
how
glad to hear
long
this.
It has taken to get an economic development director for our city. And Roger Johnson, I believe is his name, coming from Wilmington. Have you had a chance to meet him, or do you know anything about him at this point?
I have not had the pleasure of meeting him yet, but everything I hear says he's there's a lot of good things to come. It sounds like he really wants to expand our tax base from the bottom up. He wants to make our uptown district a real exciting area for all of our citizens, regardless of age, and bring good quality jobs to town. And I think that's something that we all can get around, is making sure that we have good paying, dignified jobs for our citizens here in Greenville, but also enough jobs that we can start recruiting new families to Greenville as well. It's really important that we become the economic hub in the east, and east of I-95, and I think he'll be able to help, steer the course of our economy and help us get there. So I'm excited to work with him.
Well, Wilmington is a very diverse community as far as everything it has to offer. Of course, they're uptown, they're on the river, so I'm hoping he'll bring some insight into what we might can do, because we just talked about the
A
river.
little bit of difference between the Cape Fear
I
River and the
realize
Tar.
that.
However,
I understand that,
However,
but
Wilmington does understand the importance of that
that's
vibrant
exactly
waterfront.
That's right. I think so
and
too.
we've got a challenge in
and they have a
Greenville
hotel
trying
downtown.
to tie our waterfront to the rest of our downtown, because we have about
That's
a 2 or
right.
3 block break
That's right.
of county-owned buildings in between there that
They have
we
a lot
gotta
of
work around.
a lot of art, a lot of theater. So that would encompass that. They do have a university, although it's not located near their uptown. It's much smaller, but which might have intrigued him, because we do have a lot of involvement with our community college and with ECU, with the growth and what we're doing with our uptown. So that may have intrigued him, I hope, for what he can look forward to. But I read a little bit about him too, and it does sound like he has a lot to offer us, and I think it sounds like we're fortunate to get him, because obviously Wilmington's a larger area than Greenville.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head, Terry. I think he's coming from a community that is a little bit different from ours, but it's also similar. You mentioned
Right.
they have a university system in town. They also have riverfront. They have an uptown district. So there's there's pieces of Wilmington that are similar to
Right.
Greenville. So I think he'll be able to bring some of that experience that he's had in such a similar area when it comes to economic
Right.
development to Greenville with him, and help us expand, help us grow, and help us truly become the powerhouse in the East. So I'm excited to work with him.
Right. Well, and they are, of course, they gear a lot of their things toward retirees and senior citizens, so that that could help us with that segment of the community to open doors for that, and tourism, because obviously being near the beach, they have that, and there might be something we can do with that too. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's all about, and hopefully, I hope he hits the ground running, because we're behind. I feel like we're behind.
One thing I'd like to see, and I have said this to one of the other council people, is I would like to see you guys revisit the sports complex as part of something,
Me
whether
too.
it's on a future bond or whatnot. But Andrew Schmidt with the Visitors Bureau has really worked hard over the last probably year,
Yes.
6 or 8 months at least, talking about that and the importance of, and really what results that Rocky Mount has enjoyed from having that there, and then Myrtle Beach
I think
has
it's
got a huge
phenomenal.
one too. Hopefully you guys will give consideration to bringing that back up, looking at it. We have an opportunity in November 2016, possibly for another bond. And then from there, we really do need to get on that bond schedule of having projects every few years putting out there. But I just feel like with the one that was just passed, it was a repair bond. It wasn't a transformational bond.
Right.
And I think citizens would support seeing a bond that can really bring transformation to our city and helping to jumpstart it. It might be bigger the first time around, but we just got to get on the schedule.
Well, I think it's going to be really important to see what comes out of your planning session in January. I think the public's going to be watching, to see what you all have ahead. And I think it also, I know I'm going to be watching, I'm sure they will too, to see how quickly we get the things completed or done on the bond we just passed. How fast, I know there's time, it takes time, to do certain things, but they're going to be looking for how fast are the road repairs going to be done. You know, they're going to see some progress before they vote on something else, and that's normal. That's natural for someone to want to see that. So, and I'm sure they'll get those into play as soon as they can.
Yeah.
But they'll be watching for that.
Well, I think what's the most exciting thing about this this new, upcoming council that gets sworn in next week is that I think the way this new council is going to be wired is that we're going to be a doer council. And we've seen over the years, sometimes we had some talkers on the council. We have a lot of folks, especially us, us folks in public office, we can talk for days. But at the end of the day, it comes down to concrete results. And I think that's what, we're excited, to be able to do is get stuff done. That's what we're going to be looking to do. How can we make the biggest impact in our community in really the shortest amount of time? And I think that's what the citizens of Greenville really expect from us, is to get things done, because they do know that we do need to get our roads done. They do need to make sure that we're creating new jobs in this community and that we're making our community more safe and enjoyable for everyone. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to do that for them. So what we're going to be focused on is getting a lot of things accomplished. So I'm excited to work with, this upcoming council. I've gotten to know PJ well. He's, we got some young blood besides just myself who are going to be in this council. So I'm excited to work with him, especially. And I know he's with me, how he wants to see good things happen
Well, and
in
Rose
town.
and Candy have been just incredible advocates for our city too, and
Yes,
and
they have.
really are in a wonderful leadership position now to help point Greenville in the right way. And two things we really do want to talk about is Candy. They kind of talked about on the air about her considering to possibly run for state house. How does that work if Candy was to do that? Can she serve out her term if she gets elected? How does she replace? Do you know anything about how this works?
Well, from what I understand, I believe she'll be able to continue to serve council, as she's running as being a candidate for NC House. So, but I'm excited for her. That's what I really am. When I read that news article today, I said, well, Candy Smith could be, going on to help out some more folks, and not only in the Greenville area, but other areas of this state as well. So I'm excited for her opportunity. I know she hasn't officially announced yet, but
She's probably gonna say, "No, leave me alone."
But the rumors are spreading, and I'm excited for her because she has done a great job for our council.
Thanks to Dennis Mitchell.
and she's also been a good leader for this entire community and this entire city. So I wish her the best of luck.
Well, we really have seen her over the last several years grow up. I mean, she's grown up a lot, and just is really and she's a good voice, a level, grounded voice for the city, and I like hearing her talk because when she really does speak for the city as a whole. She's not focused
and you can
just on her
understand what
district.
she's saying. She makes her points and she makes them clearly, and you can follow her in the conversation. But it is my understanding that if she were to run and she were to win, that she could continue to serve until she was sworn in to her new position. So as far as how she would be replaced, I'm not sure how that would work. It might require a special election. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So.
Well, McLean, one thing, before we went on today, you mentioned you would like to give us an update on the Safety Summit. Tell us what it is and what's going on.
Well, one thing I wanted to do, when I originally thought of running for council, I said, what are the big things that I want to do if I'm actually elected? I think it's important to set that agenda so once you get in, you kind of have a game plan. And I wanted to make our town a town where we attract new families, to the city of Greenville. We retain our young professionals, and also we create jobs for them as well. But the last thing I wanted to do is I wanted to erase the stigma that some parts of our city aren't as safe as they should be. And during this month, and it's hard to believe it's already December, but I'm going to host the first part of a 3-part series of a safety summit. I've already reached out to Chief Holtzman and Ted Sauls as well, and we're going to be getting together with a number of community leaders within District 3. I've reached out to Jim Blunt, who's the president of the University Neighborhood Association, and Dr. Andrew Moorhead from the Tar River University Neighborhood Association, the current Student Government Association president of ECU, Mark Matalevitz, and Bianca Showman from Uptown Greenville. A lot of different people who are really integrated into what is District 3 and what is the Uptown area, and how are we going to prioritize reducing crime in this area of town, because we have an exciting part of town that attracts people from all across our city, and in my opinion, it truly is the heart and soul of Greenville. Is the Uptown District, is the university, and we need to make sure that this environment and this area of town is the safest possible area that it possibly can be. So I'd like to host, and we're going to host a safety summit meeting where we prioritize things that we can get accomplished in a matter of weeks to months to what we can accomplish over the course of the next few years. And I think these people will really truly be able to, bring good ideas to the table and help us set that agenda and help make things a reality. And we're also going to include, of course, ECU, campus police, and also some, ECU administration as well. So bringing about 10 folks together, trying to set an agenda of how we can reduce crime in our neighborhoods and in our uptown district as well. And I think it'll be really exciting to see that all come together over the next 12 months and then see the results come in the next few years as a result.
Is that something, like you all will be meeting together, is that something that will open to residents or the public to come, or will you all be meeting initially first?
I think the first meeting will be just kind of a meeting with just those folks right there, just getting together. Hey, what do we think can really make a big impact, in a matter of weeks?
Right.
What can make a big impact in a matter of a few months to a few years? And then we open up and kind of spread that message and also gather input from the public as well. It's also important to, make sure that they're, able to express their opinions, concerns, and what they think could really be effective in our community as well. And then the third part, I'd like to really, open that up as well and maybe hold something on ECU's campus as well, because that area of town, the university area, the uptown area, has a lot of people between the ages of 18 and 22 who attend ECU. So having that safety summit, bringing a lot of different people to the table who really are, engaged in this community and can help make a difference will be important. And then selling everyone on it, gathering new input, adjusting what we thought originally was a great idea into something that's going to become a better idea, and then making sure that everyone's on board. So it's going to be exciting. We're going to host the first part, I believe, just at in a meeting conference room at City Hall. But we're getting stuff done now. This stuff is going to happen, and that's important. We need to make sure that that Greenville is the safest community that it possibly can be. And that's what we're here to do.
Right.
All right. Well, I think right now is a great time to take our second break. We'll do that real quick, come back, and we'll wrap it up with McLean Godley with District 3 Council.
Eastern.
Welcome back to Greenville Grit. We're having a great conversation with our new District 3 Greenville City Council man, McLean Godley, and you've really shared a lot of things about what you want to see take place and your ideas coming forward for the new year. I want to talk about just a couple of things. We mentioned that the council has a planning session in January, and I guess in that planning session, I don't know exactly how this works. Dennis had enlightened us a little bit about the planning sessions in the past and how they did the budget process, but do you all discuss anything about the budget in this planning session, or do you just talk about what you're going to talk about for the next year or so? Do you really
I think it's
have
a mixture,
an idea of what happens in that planning session?
Yeah, from what I understand, I'm still just getting used to this myself. But I think it's a mixture of both. We absolutely are going to address the budget for years to come. I think that's something important. The big campaign issue this past year was the 12 tax and fee increases.
That's right.
A lot of people felt that that past council wasn't very conservative and really didn't give much thought to people's hardworking, their pockets and protecting their pockets. And I think that's going to be an emphasis on this council, or I would so believe so, is that we got to make sure that we're protecting our citizens' hard-earned dollars. So yes, there will be some talk about, setting the budget, but I'm sure there'll be, other talks as well, kind of getting to know everyone, and also, kind of figuring out what's important to everyone, because what we want to see happen from this, council for the next 2 years is a council that can work together and isn't divisive. We don't want to go back to these clear-cut 4-2 voting blocks. We want to come together and say and work together and get stuff accomplished in a way that brings all sides to the table, instead of just shooting projects down just because XYZ introduced XYZ.
Right.
So I think it comes down to us really trying to get on the same page, building that trust, and also setting those priorities.
Well, a couple of ideas and different ways that the budget was looked at. at different terms of the council. One was where they just had the city manager present the budget and it was just passed that way, or they divided it by departments and let the departments present, the budget to the council, and then they, were able to go through that and decide where it could be cut. Or don't you remember, Michael, we discussed that? So or if you even know what you would be more in favor of, getting information from each department head about, their individual departments, so that you would have a better understanding of what their needs really are.
Exactly. And I think you hit the nail right on the head there, Terry. I think, yes, the citizens of Greenville elected me to represent District 3, but I can't be the one to tell Leah Futrell, who has human resources, that, hey, she needs XYZ when she believes she needs XYZ.
Right.
And same with, with Chief Holtzman too. He's going to need a lot of resources and
Right.
tools at his disposal, and we need to make sure that we have, or that we're able to provide him with it. So I think it would be a good idea for us to have, the department
from each
heads
one.
come in and say, hey, we need this, but hey, we might not necessarily
Right.
need this, because at the end of the day, I think they might know what they initially think is how they need to operate efficiently and effectively.
That's right.
And then we can kind of go from there and kind of say, hey, and kind of tweak it from there.
Well, it's going to be real interesting to get everybody's reaction. In January, your new tax assessments will be mailed out,
yeah.
and everybody will know if their taxes are going up or not.
Oh, they're going up.
Some
They
people
just
will
passed a
definitely.
$16 million bond. The taxes are going up.
Taxes are going up, but it'll be interesting to see what the actual assessments on everyone's homes and businesses and so forth are. It's going to be. You may be getting some phone calls.
Well, I know we've talked a lot about University District and District 3, as you said, when the show started, really goes all the way down the road. Obviously, it's important to support everyone there. Again, we're happy that you came on and happy that you won. Look forward to seeing what you can do. So thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, well, it's exciting. You'll have a fantastic show, so it's always great to be here on the
thanks.
Grit. So look forward to continuing to work with you all, hearing you out, and presenting good ideas, keeping you informed about what's going on in the city. So thank you all for everything that you do too.
All right. Well, thank you again to Greenville Toyota, Ribeye Steakhouse, and the Overton Group, and thank you for joining in. You catch us again on Friday night at 6:30, Saturday morning at 9:30 on Cable 7, or even at greenvilleheadlines.com. Look for the Greenville Grit. I'll see you next week. Bye.